Good morning, Sean. It is 8:40. Therefore, it is time for your Revelstoke Mayor Report with Mayor Gary Sauls. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good morning, Sean. I'm doing well. You?
I'm doing excellent. It's a long weekend, and we're going to do a little bit of first-time camping with Baby Jack.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah. So I do have some questions for you.
All right.
Okay. So the first one's we're going to talk a little bit about traffic.
Sure.
Okay. We're going to talk about 8th Street and how there are yield signs, and perhaps we should consider them being stop signs, as with this approximate 14,000 people, you have more people flowing through there, and it's just, there's so many cars parked along the way, you really can't yield properly. Can we change them to stop signs? That was one of your questions.
Well, that's one of the things that we need to discuss with Public Works and see the parameters around that. I'm not sure what the legalities are. However, I'm in favor of that being done if it can be done. I live on 8th Street. I see the kids that are crossing, and some are coming
or don't see them.
Or don't, yeah. And then and even some of the cars going across, and they're just slipping right across without paying attention to traffic on 8th. So it would be advantageous to be able to do that, but I'll have to talk to Public Works, Engineering, and make sure that that's a possibility.
And the skateboard park area, about one-sided parking of Edward Street. If there's parking on all sides, can the fire truck and or ambulance get through when cars and trucks are parked on both sides?
Well, I believe there can, but it's going to be a one-way goat trail when there's cars on both sides, and I've seen that where you get down there, there's cars parked everywhere, and then it really is narrow getting through. But again, that's something that I would discuss with the fire department. There is a fireman who lives on that street, and he would better be able to advise me as to if we need to make changes. So.
Now, I want to just quickly touch base on this because I'm sure you hear this a million times, and it's by one person, Marco. No, I'm going to bug him for my entire time of being on the air. No. But when it comes to the side roads, or pardon me, downtown roads, they have been fixed up faster and more frequently than, say like 6th Street or something to that effect, because it costs a fortune. Realistically, some of the roads that are beaten up, are they going to be addressed, or is it just such a huge cost that they don't get looked at because we got to deal with Victoria, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, yes and no. And so the quick answer on that sort of thing is when we do asset management and we've done pavement management, we've looked at those sorts of things. So the engineering department will tell us, listen, the underlying road bed is in good condition. It would be less expensive to fix this road than one that has been degraded so far that we would have to dig right down and refill the base. So I'm not sure what the steps are as far as making sure that all the roads get attention. It's extremely expensive, but now we need to look at it and say, okay, which roads should we be doing and which roads should we just be putting a Band-Aid on? And that's an unfortunate thing, because even on the street I live on, there's some potholes or some dips and stuff on that have been there for years, and you start to see them degrade. And in some of the other areas down on Front Street, Benson Street, those sorts of things, where some of those streets are so bad, it's just Band-Aiding them together for now until we can actually have the money and then put together a plan so that we can go through the entire city fixing street by street.
I had to go down to Revelstoke Flooring to take a look at some flooring for the staircase.
Right.
And on my way down there, I went,
You could smell something?
You could smell something. So
okay.
be prepared. I'm sure you're going to start getting some emails.
Probably.
Okay, so we all know what everyone wants me to ask you. So let's just touch base about the council meeting on Tuesday. Hands down, you win. I think that was the shortest council meeting I have ever gone to and almost missed. So
actually, I think Mark holds the record. I think he's at 8 minutes or something like that.
So. That was something else. Okay, so let's just get right to it. There's lots of controversy going on, lots of concerns that everyone has in the Development Services Department. This is no longer news. It's a blend between news and /gossip. So I'm not going to drill you on things that I know you can't answer.
Right.
So I'm just going to ask you straight up. The meeting went right into in camera, and after that, you're talking about stuff that is completely blocked from us due to legalities.
Yes. So when we go in camera, we talk about, I think I mentioned last week, and I aired on and what I said, it's land, legal, or labor. So if we're talking about those things, we're in camera. Those are the things that we need to discuss in camera. So when we talk about legal, it could be any kind of issue that has legalities. When we're talking about labor, it could be any kind of issue dealing with employment. And when we're talking about land, it could be selling land or purchasing land, those sorts of things. So we go in camera. It's not to hide anything from the public. It's because people have rights, and we need to appreciate that. So if we're purchasing land, those that we're purchasing it from have some rights. You can't divulge that. If we're talking about labor or staffing or issues with union rights, those sorts of things, then of course all of that, everyone has some opportunity to have some privacy.
So with that said, if changes or land purchases happen at some point when it's the appropriate time, there'll be, I'm assuming, a press release from the city staff or whomever, or maybe that partial communications. I know there's a budget for that.
Yep.
Okay. So I won't press that further because I know you can't answer it. You've got a list here of a few things you wanted to touch base on.
I do, because we're going into the long weekend. I just wanted to mention, as most people know, but if there's new people to the community or tourists, we definitely have a farmers market downtown on Saturday. Saturday morning, there's a public drop-in at the Squash Club. It's called Revelstoke Racket Den Squash Club, so that starts at 9 a.m. And then this weekend, Saturday, we have Revelstoke Timber Days. And starting Timber Days off, the cadets are putting on a pancake breakfast from 8 to 11 a.m. And I understand that they're going to have free shuttles from the farmers market. Around 11, there is submissions of a berry bake-off. So pies are going to be submitted. So I'm not sure if you want to go down and test the pies or how that works, Sean. But definitely, I like pie, and it might be interesting to have a look at that. Also, the Mountain Pipe Coaster opens on Saturday, so that's a great thing. And apparently at noon or 12:15, somewhere around there, I'm in a political saw-off for Timber Days.
Do you know who it is with? Or
I have no idea.
I understand that Angus was in earlier, and he and Brian Sumner, and they had mentioned there's some sort of change this year to it. So I don't know what it is. They said you'll have to come down to find out. So I don't know what I think it's like you got a saw naked. I have no idea.
Thanks. Nobody wants to see that. I can assure you. They're going to put me up against some female logger who's going to clean my clock or something, cutting that log. So I think it'll be fun. So I just encourage everyone to come down and watch and see if I get well embarrassed. Also, Sunday and Monday is supposed to have good weather, so just encourage everybody to get outdoors and enjoy the activities in our community. But also, the roads are going to be busy, so I just encourage everyone to keep safe, especially if they're traveling.
Okay, and we'll check in with Gary next week. Thanks, Gary.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean.
Gary.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean.